Hi, this is Joe with DomainAcademy.com. Thanks for joining us. Today I wanted to talk about mechanical.com. It's currently on offer on GoDaddy Auctions with about an hour left, and it's already over $100,000 in bids from 103 bids placed so far, and we're going to look at how many bidders with 26 different people interested and an hour left. So why is this name worth so much? That's one of the things that I first wondered when I was learning to invest in domains. What makes one name worth a lot more than another name? So we're going to take a look at that today with Domain Academy and try and help get you those answers. One of the things that you can grab on the side here on the auctions is more data. So let's take a look at the data that auctions already provides, and you can see that this is a 29-year-old domain, so that means it probably hasn't been available to purchase, so there's some scarcity there for 29 years. It's very old. And typically, older names are better. It's not always true, but that's an indicator of value there. And you can see that it has some SEO value, although that's not the main reason why it's valuable. So let's dig in a bit more by using Domain Academy's tools. Now, these are free for anyone who's using DomainAcademy.com, and to become a member and get access to all of our tools and classes, training, you just have to be a member of Domain Discount Club at GoDaddy, and everything comes free with that membership. So I am going to use the valuation worksheet to start out with, and what that does is that gives us an overview of a lot of different data points on this name. So I threw it in here, and it comes back and tells me that it's a one-word name. The SLD, what's to the left of the dot, is mechanical. Here's the words. It gives us the Google search volume. 2,700 searches a month is not that dramatic. It's not that crazy. Broad is terms that contain mechanical, so you would expect that to be higher. This is pretty big, but again, it's not anything super crazy for a one-word name. And the cost per click, the amount of money that people are paying to advertise, is $2 a click on this term. I looked; there are several advertisers on the term, like 3 or 4 every first couple pages. So that's a decent amount of advertising, but it's not anything that would make me think, wow, this name is worth $100,000 at a wholesale price, which is where it's being sold. So let's go down and see if we could figure out exactly why. We had the age, that's good, but that's not enough to garner $100,000. Characters, it's a little bit long for a one word. 4 syllables is long. But when we get here, this is where we start to see where some of the value comes in. So the number of TLDs that are taken, so this is what's to the right of the dot, mechanical dot something. There's 126 of those taken, and we're going to go look at those in a second. And then domains that contain that SLD contain what's to the left of the dot, mechanical, let's say mechanicalengineer.com contains it. There's 33,000 of those. So that's quite a bit. And then when we scroll down here and we take a look, you can see again, here's the year it was created. You can see how much type-in traffic there is. Trademark count, you want to see trademarks on it, but this is a very generic name, so there's not going to be that many trademarks. That's not a detractor in this case. The Datafinity company count. Datafinity looks at what companies use mechanical in their name, and Crunchbase looks at startups that are using mechanical in their name. So these two things right here, combined with the SLDs and containing, show that there is quite a bit. This is a huge amount of potential users for this name. So that's where the value comes in on a name like this. Besides it being just a one word and age name, there's a tremendous amount of potential users for this name. And when you buy a name to sell, you need to be able to sell it to someone who's going to use it. That's the biggest thing. You might have an idea, but that doesn't mean that someone else is thinking along those same lines. You need to have a broad base of people that are interested in buying the name that you own. We go into that in depth with Leanne McMahon on one of our podcasts. I'll share a link in the description to that if you want to look a little bit more about potential end users, but that is one of the important things that we look at. We'll dive into that in a second. I just want to pull up some comps so you can see somebody got a steal of a deal in 2020 on mechanical.ai to see if they resell that. But you can look at these one-word names that have sold. There's a couple, it seems like a couple of adjectives. We want to look at something that's kind of similar. I'd say maybe look at something like ballet. You could look at something like stable. You can see that these are selling for over $1 million. So these one-word names are typically selling for over $1 million to end users. So again, that is indication of value. And I'm not going to pick the comps because I want to save time in this video. But I went into our Domain Explorer tool over here, which shows us that TLD SLD count. And you can see there's 126 that are taken for mechanical dot something exactly. And what we try and do is we try and break it down between what's actively being used, what's not showing up, so maybe it just shows an error page, and what's parked, what's for sale. So when we look at this, you can see that there's quite a bit of actual use, and here's where the money is. Besides these people that are using that might want to upgrade to a .com, there's all these other people that are using names like Mechanical Turk that might want to shorten their name, or Mechanical Seal might want to just be mechanical, right? Mechanical Keyboards might benefit from being mechanical. And there's a demand for these ancillary names, these two-word names. There's quite a bit of demand in these other TLDs that are being used by actual companies. And how do we know they're actual companies? Because we saw the date affinity numbers, right, that back that up. I shot this mechanical into Open Corporates, which is another database similar to the date affinity database, and it shows that there's 152,000 companies in the world that are using mechanical. This is one of the highest numbers I've ever seen come back when I look in Open Corporates or date affinity. So you could see that there's a lot of actual companies that are using mechanical that might benefit from owning mechanical.com, the category defining name in that sector. So there are a lot of potential end users. And when we look at the upgrades potential, the amount of companies that are using the name, and when we look at things like the Crunchbase companies, the startups, right? You see that there's thousands of those. There's potential startups that might want to break into the mechanical space. So the demand for this name on an end user side, someone who would pay that $1 million, is quite high, and there's a large potential buying base. So it boils down to that. When you buy a name, you need to have buyers, and these tools help you identify if there are buyers or not for that name. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe and share with your friends if you found this valuable.